That's when we have that level of complexity where you need the extra capacity. You have to have something to make sure the teams are coordinated properly, that we've system view, not just individual team view. We've got architects and program activities, right? So that's where your scaling techniques. That's the second level of scaling techniques, right? Versus Scrum and Scrums.
Well, you have to create synergies, of course. You might have
Yes.
discussions like, do I need a Scrum Master for each squad, or do I use
Exactly the
one
design
for multiple squads?
of the program.
Which is a
Yep.
conversation that I have on a continual basis with people. And I say, whatever you need, you have to be able to define it based on your needs
Exactly.
and not on what the rules say.
Exactly right. And I think that's a key point you just made there, Marcus. It's not about the rules, right? It's you do what's right for you. You use the rules as guidelines, not as necessarily rules. So there are some rules don't break, of course, right? Most of them are more, make it work for you.
Yeah.
Find a way of building the situation that's best for you, right?
Now, there's two things that I picked up out of this Discipline Agile book that came from PMI, and I'm always I have a reputation for being an outspoken critic of things that I somewhat understand, and the purpose of me being critical of it is kind of me saying I don't get it. I see a flaw. Where's the solution? Somebody tell me, or I'm going to keep harping on this. Right? Some things you're very good at clarifying, other things remain because you agree with me. So that's kind of confirmation. Yes. There's two interesting things I picked up out of the book, and that's this acronym WOW.
Yes, way of working.
Yeah, way of working, which I think is very sexy marketing language. And I was reading it, and I don't know if I read it wrong, but this is what it basically said. The book basically said there's many different ways of doing Agile. There's many different ways of doing hybrid or predictive. I don't think they even referred to predictive so much. But they basically said that you as a sponsor or whatever the heck you want to call it then, a product owner, should basically talk to your team or allow your team to self-organize and define what is their preferential way of working.
Yeah, and I agree with that to an extent. It's not just preferential. I also like to say what is actually going to work.
Okay.
Because a team might elect, I don't want any framework. I don't want any, and you can't have that.
Now, that's exactly what triggered me, because I've tried to create like this historical evolution model of the different change methodologies and the different project management methodologies.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of time, and I'm in a startup project right now for an NGO, for a nonprofit organization.
Excellent.
And it's really fun. And we are completely chaotic and unorganized. And
that's the best.
And the funny thing is, it has to do in a medical services field. And I know nothing about medical services. So my primary function for everybody else who's chaotic is to bring a framework to bear.
Exactly.
Right?
It's managed chaos.
Yes.
Right? Chaos is good.
At the end, projects are chaos. Project management is managing chaos and realizing opportunities
100%.
and mitigating risks. That's what project management is, right?
Exactly.
So what triggered me a little bit about this statement, ask the team for their way of working. I can empathize with that in a small organization where there's not a lot of standardization.
Yeah.
But at the very beginning of this evolution curve of change or project management, I always say the very origin of every startup company, and this includes Spotify and the startup company that I'm helping now, is what I call anarchic agility. That I don't think the term has been coined before, but it's my academic way of saying.
Do you want to trademark that? That's good, right?
TM.
There you go.
I like to say, when I do seminars, I often ask people who's working in projects. A lot of people raise their hands. I say, who's been trained before? Not a lot of them.
There's a problem, right?
Yeah. Oh, well, hold on. And then I say, okay, who's working in project, has not been trained? This is the last question is for you. Are your projects successful? And most of them raise their hand.
Yes.
And I applaud them. I say, thank you for being honest. And I kind of have this drop the mic thing where, okay, you don't need the seminar, go home. They all laugh, ha, ha, ha. And I said, well, why are you here if you're managing projects and you're successful? And what basically comes to bear is, as long as you're working on a small project and it's only a handful of people, anarchic agility is a wonderful process. But the larger your organization gets, the bigger your programs are, the bigger your portfolio is. I really have an issue with this. work any which way you want, because I think it's a license to do nothing. Would you agree?
Yes, I 100% agreed. And I think we can both agree that philosophically, working any way you want to is a great idea, right?
Yeah.
If the team can properly choose a process that works for them, what's wrong with that, right?
Yeah.
Nothing. The problem is that at the beginning, they don't have enough knowledge to know what is the right framework for them. And this is, I'm going to say this also. This is also another big challenge in the Agile community. And I talk about this all the time. I'm sure some coaches are, pretty annoyed when I say this thing. When you first start out with a team, you can't just let them make any decisions they want to. You have to give them guidance, sometimes direction.
They expect it from you, actually.
Yes, exactly. And you think about it, like, just to your point, they don't know what they're doing yet. So they're like looking for guidance.
Well, they don't want to focus on, they really don't want to spend their time with framework.
No.
They appreciate it.
Yes.
But they don't want to have to deal with the administrative part of the project. They just want to know, listen, because what we're also addressing here, especially if you're talking about Scrum or the more scaled version.
Yeah.
What does it mean if you've got 7 squads all using a different wow?
Yeah.
There's no synergy.
And you can, but there's got to be the appropriate mechanism across all those teams that they
there needs to be some form of, like, I don't know, translation, right? The Rosetta Stone. But even that is cumbersome